Hello everyone, Andrew here, and welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at the recent spillage of Super Mario World beta content that has graced the internet as of late. If there's two games that I've always dreamed of seeing more beta content from, it's Super Mario World and Mario 64. So here we go with some Mario World stuff. People will know I absolutely love the game, so seeing these things just really blows my mind. Some people may know that Super Mario World originally kind of started out as a port of Super Mario Bros. 3, not because I think that's the direction they were intending to go with the game, but because the Super Nintendo was obviously this new hardware, so to find out just what it could do and what they could do with it, they kind of recreated Super Mario Bros. 3 on it and just use that as their base and learning experience. So you definitely see some leftovers from what looks like more of a Super Mario Bros. 3 styled game in a lot of the beta assets that we're going to have a look at. So without further ado, I think we'll probably start jumping right into the beta stuff. And when you see beta pictures, because of course, before we started getting documents like this and just, actually having access to leaked things directly from Nintendo, a lot of what people understood of beta Super Mario World was from screenshots and pictures which may have appeared in magazines back in the day while the game was still under development. And one of the main things you always see in those pictures is the different overworld and Mario being on this mushroom-shaped island where there's level tiles, and it definitely looks kind of like the map that you would see in the final Super Mario World, but it's also very different at the same time. There's kind of a mushroom house in the middle, a sort of hub, and it looks like Mario could perhaps go in 4 different directions there, almost having a choice on which world he tackled first, which was really neat. In the files that were just leaked though, we finally get to see more of what this overworld would have looked like. You get that mushroom island there, and you actually even get some other areas around the outside of it, which is interesting because in some of the pictures we have seen of the mushroom island prior to this, there was actually no islands or other things around it. It was always kind of just that island and that was it. But there's actually some more stuff to the right and even above it. The island itself also looks a little bit different with no lake through the middle, and there's no big mountain in the upper right side of it. But I think this is really cool seeing what the map may have looked like at one point. And yeah, it's just so cool, having access to this. I'm also going to, at the bottom corner, or in one of the corners, post the names of the place where I found the images and information that I'm using. A majority of this comes from the Twitter account Freeze or Fryease. They will of course be linked down in the description if you wish to go see more of the diggings that they have found. We're going to go over a lot of it here, but there's just so much out there right now, always more being found and developed, so I'm sure by the time this comes out there's probably even more for everyone to enjoy. But yes, so far, just starting with the overworld, I think it's just so neat seeing where it came from, but even more interesting perhaps than this, I mean, it's really cool finally getting to see that mushroom island in full. But there's also even remnants of what looks like a more traditional Mario 3 styled overworld map, where you have the level tiles that are square and they're numbered, and the paths are very straight and kind of evenly spaced. I think it's really kind of funny to see that this is left over as well. Almost looks more like, an RPG map than it does the Super Mario Bros. Map. And there's one that's kind of glitchy, but then there's also one where it's like, wow, this is Mario 3 map, maybe crossed with like a Final Fantasy map or something like that. It almost gives me vibes of the World Maker in Mario Maker 2. How you kind of have, it's almost like a kind of mix of Mario 3 and the Mario World world map in that game. This kind of gives me vibes of that, but I think it's just so neat seeing these beta world map elements. Moving on though, that's about enough we're going to look at for the world map in this video, but there are just so many other beta things from actually in the gameplay and the sprites and the tile sets and such that we're going to look at, with probably the most interesting one being one that we're getting into right away, and that is Mario wearing a helmet of sorts. And what this looks like it is perhaps when Mario was Cape Mario, he was going to wear this helmet. Now, the impression that I get from this is that Mario almost seems like a human Cannonball in this case, where he has this protective helmet on, he has the cape, and the way that he kind of dive bombs and goes into the air, it really gives me that impression of a human Cannonball. That circus act where the person gets shot out of a cannon, and they have that round hat with the goggles on. it's really funny too, because when you think about it, there's actually some other kind of circusy undertones in the game as well. Of course, a big one being Bowser's clown car. So you almost wonder at one point if kind of how Mario 3 had that whole being a play theme going on. Maybe at one point they were kind of thinking of going with a circus theme for Super Mario World. I mean, why does Bowser ride in a clown car? Where did that ever come from? Of course, it's kind of a staple of the series now, but it would explain a lot if maybe Nintendo did have this, kind of circus theme on their mind for Super Mario World at some point. But I think that's so cool. Personally, I mean, it does seem a little unnecessary. Cape Mario is just fine without the helmet, but it's really cool to see that this is something that was perhaps on their mind at one point. You can also see some tails at the top there, because of course, as mentioned, Mario World kind of started out as that port of Super Mario Bros. 3, and you do, indeed, in other tile sets that have been dug up as well, see a lot more of the kind of beta Super Mario World Raccoon Mario sprites. You even get to see leaves and things, and also on the screen, you also get to see the beta small Mario sprites, which look a lot more like Mario 3 Small Mario with the really square nose. Definitely quite different from what the final small Mario sprite looked like. But yes, here's some better looks at the Raccoon Mario. Of course, you get all the ears and the tail. I absolutely love the kind of classic, basic Raccoon Mario before just getting a leaf turned him like full Tanuki. When it was just the ears and the tail, I don't think it really needs to go beyond that. But if, it sells more merchandise when you can just, give Mario this completely new look every time he collects a leaf. Other things, though, on this sheet include, again, some of those beta sprites. So you got the leaf there, you got a fire flower that looks much more like the Super Mario Bros. 3 fire flower, rather than the one with the pointy top, the kind of tulip-looking one, which was in the final Mario World. You get piranha plants, the type that shoot fire, and the type that just pop up vertically from pipes. Those weren't in the final game. All of the piranha plants were either jumping ones from the pipe, or they were actually downwards piranha plants, which were just the normal kind of munching ones, but no ones that came up vertically, and of course also no ones that shot fire without being of the jumping variety. The key also at one point looks like the key pins stuck up instead of down, which is kind of an interesting change that they made there. And you also get to see some other Super Mario Bros. 3 sprites, including Hammer Brothers, Chain Chomps, and the Wiggler also looks a little bit different too back then. Definitely a little bit strange there. This sheet right here may initially just look like some more Mario sprites, but what it actually is individual Luigi sprites, especially if you look at those ones in the middle where he's jumping. You can really see, the Luigi's kind of longer face. And I think it's so cool because, of course, this is back, the beta stages of the game. In the final version of Super Mario World, not counting the All-Stars version, but in the original release of Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, there is no difference between the Mario and Luigi sprites with the exception of the color. But it looks like at one point, even for the original release of the game, they were thinking of Luigi having a different sprite. Unfortunately, right here, the color palette for Luigi cannot be found, so it's just showing it with the normal Mario color palette. But someone did add a proper palette to the Luigi sprites to kind of differentiate them, and they look really nice. It is such a shame that these were not in the final game, because they just look so great. They really look like Luigi sprites that would fit in with the Super Mario World theme, and the ones that were used later on in Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, where Luigi did have a different sprite than Mario, actually aren't the same as these. They were just redrawn again, so I don't know if these got lost somewhere or what, or they just didn't like them, but I really like these sprites. I think they look cool, and you also get to see the small Luigi versions of them as well. Here we have some more beta sprites. Once again, kind of get to see that beta Wiggler. You also get to see some dry bones that look a lot more like Super Mario Bros. 3 dry bones as opposed to the final ones, and once again Hammer Brothers, and just some other odds and ends here, which definitely have more of a Mario 3 theme than the sprites that we got in the final. Now this one's pretty interesting. Of course you get the Hammer Brothers sprites again, but on the right you get something that looks kind of like a cross between a duck and a dinosaur or something like that. It's very strange, maybe like an early concept for Charging Chuck or something, because you have the ordinary Koopa Troopas as well, and that one seems to kind of be like a super Troopa in some sort of way. But the most interesting thing on the sprite sheet is, of course, the beta Yoshi. He's very thin, Someone actually created an animated version of this, so you can see it in action. It's very cool. It reminds me of kind of what Mario looks like in the original Mario Maker when you get the thin mushroom. He's all lanky and long. Well, that's how Yoshi was originally going to look. Very, very strange indeed. I don't think many people would like Yoshi these days. He's not nearly as adorable back then as he is now, but still very interesting to see kind of, the development process that Yoshi went through. On this sheet here, you also, on the topic of Yoshi, get kind of like an elder Yoshi. Very strange, holding a cane with a beard and a mustache. That's weird. And you also get the No Yoshi sign, which was never used officially in Super Mario World, but you see it pop up a lot in ROM hacks because it's still completely functional in the game, and it allows you to not allow Yoshi into a level that isn't a ghost house or a castle, as are, normally the two level types that you usually associate with the final Super Mario World as not being able to take Yoshi into. Moving on, this one right here doesn't initially look like there's actually too much to talk about. The main thing that probably pops out for most people is the coin at the bottom, which isn't a dragon coin, but rather a Mario head coin. There's been very many different kind of variations of the dragon coin, it looks like, throughout development. It looks like one time it was kind of more just styled as a big coin, and then of course now there's apparently been a Mario version of that as well, which I don't think had ever been seen prior to this point, which is very strange. Also above it, you get a strange tile set, which I don't think is ever used in the final game, but there is in fact a old picture from a magazine with this tile set, which also features a Big Boo as well. Which makes sense because it looks like mixed in with this tile set, there's also some, more ghostly things. You almost have what looks like fishing Boo right there, so that definitely makes sense. It's cool to see this tile set actually, in tile set form. And then above that, you have what looks like some mushrooms, as well as a mixture of the Layer 3 underground background, which is strange. You never get to kind of see those mushrooms in-game. Speaking of unused tile sets, here's another tile set that definitely looks like it's from earlier in development that was never used in the final game. It has more of a checkerboard pattern to it, very basic. I could definitely just see this being used as kind of like, a test thing to test everything out. It has almost like that kind of test room look to it with the different checkerboards that you still see in even more modern games. Also mixed in here is a lot more traditional Super Mario Bros. 3 stuff, once again with the older sprites and even question mark blocks now in the small wooden block that you would normally see from Super Mario Bros. 3. Also some Japanese text, tenso, which just means to transfer. So yeah, just overall things that definitely look like from quite earlier in development. And again, a lot of that Super Mario Bros. 3 style things, which I really like the Super Mario Bros. 3 wooden block. So it's kind of sad, I guess, in Mario World to see it replaced with that more cement stone block. It would have been cool if there was kind of a mix of both, but yeah, it just blows my mind seeing the Mario 3 stuff mixed with the Mario World stuff, so I just absolutely love seeing all this. And then one more kind of foreground tile set before we move into more sprite and even boss based stuff. And I think one of the most interesting things here is once again the fact that you have breakable bricks from Super Mario Bros. 3 and the question mark block from Super Mario Bros. 3, and also the on-off switch looks more like a pressable switch rather than an on-off block like we got in the final. Would have been kind of cool to see how that worked. Also, there's a flower there and fruit, which does not look identical to how it looks in the final game. So here's some strange stuff mixed in with sprites. I mean, I guess, Mario goes to Dinosaur Land, and there really aren't all that many dinosaurs. There's Rexes and other things, but overall, for it being called Dinosaur Land, there's not that many dinosaurs. So this is really funny seeing what looks like actually some, bigger, full-size dinosaurs. Not so well drawn, obviously still very early in development. But I think it's kind of cool seeing these things mixed in there. And also the bottom left, you kind of get some weird blocks that aren't used in the final. Almost looks like maybe an early version of the motor or such that, follows online guides. But yeah, not too sure what's going on there. Overall, I really like this one though. It definitely shows, what they were maybe thinking at the time. But yeah, it kind of explains, I guess, maybe why, there's not too many dinosaurs in Dinosaur Land. Now this one's cool. This kind of looks like the wood that spins in the background of Reznor fights, but it says Boon Boon, kill you, boss, and that's really strange. You know, why does it say that? Now, the funny thing is that Boon Boon is actually the Japanese name for, you can probably guess, Boom Boom, the boss that you would usually fight at the end of Fortresses in Super Mario Bros. 3. So is this implying that, you know, maybe the boss in Fortresses in Super Mario World was not going to be the typical 4 Reznor battle, but rather a Boom Boom in some form? How exactly this would have factored into that, you know, who knows? But that's still very interesting. And yeah, just you know, the text, I don't know how many times I should say it. It'll probably get this video removed from YouTube or something like that. Can't say anything these days. But yeah, just a very interesting thing to have on the wood there. And, you know, why you would need to say that on the wood, how exactly this would have been used. Hopefully we discover more about this and, you know, all sorts of other things as time goes on. But still just, you know, very interesting, you know, piece to find at the moment. Here also looks like some kind of maybe, you know, like skull? Helicopter? It looks like a skull wearing maybe, you know, sunglasses. I guess that's probably supposed to be like a sheen on glass where the eyes are. Definitely reminds me more of like, you know, like a Wily machine than anything. The whole skull motive going on. Like, I can't tell at the bottom if that's supposed to be a propeller or something else. But this is really strange. I'd love to know what was going on with this. Maybe it was originally intended to be a boss or some kind of giant enemy in Mario World at some point. Unfortunately, it's probably not using the correct color palette, but this is an interesting one. Hopefully we find more out about this soon. Speaking of copters though, you know, maybe Bowser was going to ride in that at some point. Maybe he was going to go like all Dr. Wily on Mario before he decided that, you know, the clown car was the way to go. What's most interesting about this one is that at the very top, there's a picture of Bowser where you can actually see his legs. I don't think that in Super Mario World, you ever see anything other than the top half of Bowser sticking out from the clown car, just like at the very end of the game. And then you beat him and he just kind of, you know, like flies away and Princess Peach comes down. So it's kind of cool to think that maybe there would have been like, you know, more to the Bowser fight at one point. Maybe there would have been an intro where you got to see more of his body, or maybe there actually would have been, you know, more to fighting Bowser overall where he's not just in the clown car. You know, the things that could have been, and hopefully we discover more again as more is dug up. And also in the middle here we have what looks like a really strange piranha plant head. He looks very surprised. Well, he looks angry and then he looks very surprised. Not sure what's going on with that. Or, you know, why it's mixed in with the Bowser related stuff, but that's pretty funny and definitely needs to be pointed out. And then, last but not least, I mean, it's fitting, we started with, you know, the overworld map, and here we are talking about Bowser and things that would normally be at the end of the game. We have Mario without a hat, and, you know, it looks like he has seen some crap. And I mean, if you look at the Princess Peach sprites at the far right, I guess, you know, that's probably justification for why his hat would go flying. Those are probably, you know, placeholders or betas for when Princess Peach is calling for help during the Bowser fight, and she throws the mushroom. And yeah, Mario not having a hat, you know, maybe he gets kissed and, you know, like it flies off or something like that at the end of the game. Who knows, but those are definitely a couple of interesting pieces there. But overall, that's just kind of some of the things I wanted to talk about in regards to new developments in beta Super Mario World discoveries. I love this. I love seeing the old beta stuff. Unfortunately, things being leaked, I mean, it means that someone probably had to go in there and do things that people shouldn't probably be doing. But there's just something about betas of old games that are so fascinating to look at. And as mentioned, Mario World and Mario 64 are two I've always kind of, you know, had my sights on. I've always wanted to see more about, especially with how much I've worked with Mario World and just love the game. This is really exciting, and I hope that you enjoyed me just going over those things that, you know, I thought were particularly cool. Again, more stuff's always going to be found, so again, check those links in the description. Keep checking out what's going on, and if there's more to talk about, maybe I'll even make another video in the future about all this. I'm also currently playing the 8-bit Chinese pirate version of Super Mario World, which is pretty hilarious. If you know you want another kind of funny Super Mario World thing to watch, please definitely consider checking that out, and then, you know, just checking my channel out overall if you enjoyed this video. So thanks so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time for more video game stuff. So thanks and see ya. Thank you so much once again for checking out my videos. I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it really helps my channel out. With that said, hope to see you next time.